One of the first exercises that a lot of guitarists learn is what's often called the spider walk exercise. There are a lot of different variations on this I've seen with the same name, so you might encounter some other exercises also called spider walk. But the version that is usually first introduced to a lot of beginner students is what I was just doing there, playing with your fingers spanned across 4 frets, one finger to a fret. It's like I would play on the E string, going 1, 2, 3, 4. Then move to the next string on A, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on all the way up and down like I did. And this is a really good exercise. It's great for developing just kind of general speed, accuracy, good hand position, finger independence. But I find that a lot of students of mine struggle with this early on, just because it's difficult for a lot of people to actually span across 4 frets early on comfortably. Just the independence of using all the fingers. And so I'll just see a lot of students with a lot of tension in the hand, and even kind of practicing in some bad habits and uncomfortable hand technique. So what I want to do today is talk about kind of a variation on this exercise you can do to make it a little bit more approachable, make it easier to cultivate a really good positioning for the hand where we're just kind of developing the finger independence, getting well coordinated, developing ease in the hand without worrying too much about the stretch early on, and then kind of look at how we can add it in a little bit again later. And I want to talk a bit about some basic left hand techniques so we can actually understand like what is the point of this exercise and what you need to focus on to get the most out of it. So the exercise I'm going to start with is really similar to doing that spider walk with the 4 fingers, but I'm going to start with just 2 fingers at a time. So I'll start with my index and middle fingers. You can do this anywhere on the neck. In fact, it might be easiest to do it higher up on the neck. As the frets get closer together, there's less of a stretch there. I'm going to just show it for the sake of this video here with first finger on the 5th fret, second finger on the 6th fret. And just like before, I'm going to walk these 2 fingers across the strings. But you might notice I'm doing kind of a percussive muted sound after each note. I'm doing this by just releasing the pressure on this finger. So I play first finger, then I release the pressure, but still leave my finger on the string. So I'm touching, but not applying any pressure at all, just kind of resting the finger on the string. You'll get that percussive sound. You do that first finger with the mute, second finger, same thing, just leaving my second finger rested on the string to get that muted sound. The purpose for this is just to kind of give you a second to relax the hand between notes and avoid kind of accumulating more and more tension as we go. This gives you a chance to sort of empty out the hand and just develop a nice, easy hand position. This is also a great way to avoid the habit of kind of lifting off the strings really high and then sort of swatting at the strings, which I think might be one of the most common bad habits I see in a lot of beginner students. This is just kind of a lot less efficient. The farther away you get from the string, the longer it will take to get back to the string, so it won't be as fast. And swinging at these strings like this from far away is just going to be less accurate. So you'll be a lot more efficient and accurate and just have more ease if you just kind of can stay close to the strings. So doing this exercise with having the mute, where I'm literally touching the string the whole time, is just a great way to encourage just kind of some more ease in the technique and staying closer to the strings. So I'll go all the way up and then back down. 1, mute, 2, mute. And as we do this exercise, we want to work on keeping the left hand just kind of in a natural, compact position. So what I mean by that is if you kind of just take your hand at rest, just let the hand be at ease, the fingers tend to naturally kind of fall together in this sort of loose curl. And that's more or less how we'll want to play the guitar. So a great way to find a comfortable hand position is just to put your hand at ease. You can rest it on your lap or on a table or whatever, just kind of rest the hand. Then without thinking about it too much, you can put the hand up here. And it falls pretty naturally in a pretty good playing position, just the fingers together, kind of loosely curled. One thing you'll commonly see is people kind of tensing, maybe sticking out the fingers they're not using, along with these kind of big motions. So, and coming back to the hand at rest, like the fingers can't kind of naturally lift out of position like that, or kind of spread, extend this way, unless you intentionally exert a little bit of a muscle effort to do that. So when you're seeing those kinds of things, the hand kind of being spread out a lot with these kind of big lifting motions is generally a sign of just unnecessary extra effort in the left hand and extra tension. So as we do this exercise, one of the main things we want to do is just kind of keep the hand just curled, the fingers kind of nestled together. So you can go really slow as you need to, just kind of empty out the hand after each one and avoid kind of those unnecessary motions in your other fingers. And in this way, we're working on just developing a nice, just kind of relaxed, more neutral hand position. We will obviously at times kind of need to spread out more to get certain more difficult shapes and stretches. But if you're kind of stuck in these more difficult positions, just like locked in here all the time, you're just using a lot more effort than you really need to. So you want to be able to fall back into this more closer to how the hand is at rest. As much as you can will be more efficient. So you can then do this exercise with every combination of fingers. A great way to go through and just make sure you do them all is just kind of go in order. We'll do 1 and 2, then 1 and 3. So on all the way up and down, 1 and 4. Doing these pretty quick just to demonstrate. But obviously take your time. Just kind of get that relaxed, or well, developing ease as you play. We can do 2 and 3, and 2 and 4, and then 3 and 4. And we'll have been through all the 2-finger combinations. Now you might expect, as I'm doing some of those combinations, for example, like 2 and 4, that you would be spread across 4 frets. And you can do this eventually as a good exercise, but I might recommend starting out in just 1 fret apart. So in this instance, 2 is on fret 5, 4 is on fret 6. And the reason for this again is just to encourage the hand to be a little more at ease, just kind of falling into that curl. Just getting comfortable with using the fingers together like this and getting well coordinated. It's often enough of a challenge just to get the fingers working on their own, doing everything we want, especially with this 4th finger for a lot of beginners. A lot of beginners even just kind of avoid using this finger for a long time. But really, it's a huge benefit to just have all your fingers under control and be able to do any fingerings you need. So I really recommend doing this with all the combinations, just kind of starting with the fingers close together. As you get more comfortable, you can then do it more spread out across the 4 frets. It's not even all that uncommon, though, to have the fingers close together like this. 3 and 4 often play in the same fret. Your pinky just kind of naturally falls in the same fret as 3 a lot of the time. So it's not even that this is an exercise you just do and then graduate from and then are more spread out all the time. It's kind of always beneficial. It's always a good warm-up. You can keep it around, but especially at the start, you want to use this to kind of help you get a more at ease hand position Later on, you can expand a little bit more, but even here, I'm trying to not really use more effort than I need. Kind of staying as compact as is possible in this hand position and still keeping the fingers close to the strings. Same thing would apply to a lot of the other patterns, like when I do 1 and 4, for example. Instead of spreading 4 frets, the pinky kind of might naturally fall spanned across 3 frets. So I can have 1 fret in the middle here. My first finger is on the 5th fret. My pinky is on the 7th fret. And then later on, I could try spread across 4 frets. Eventually, if you get really comfortable, you might even try working on some stretches with some bigger spans. But don't worry about that too much at first. First, you're just kind of trying to cultivate what is a good hand position where you can kind of stay close to the strings and feel at ease. So as you do all these, there will be 4 things to keep in mind. The first will just be everything we've gone over in the video of keeping the fingers close to the strings, just kind of keeping a nice compact curled hand position and not kind of overlifting the fingers. Second will be having a good placement in the fret. So you always want to place your fingers kind of right in behind the fret. So basically as close as you can be without literally being over the fret. You want to be right in behind there. And that's just because it takes less pressure to get a clean sound behind the fret. You can actually show this if I go back more towards kind of the middle, getting that buzz. Without applying any more pressure than that, I can just scoot over and now I have a clean note. I'm not changing any of the pressure at all, I'm just getting a better finger placement. So that's definitely something to keep in mind as you do this exercise. The third thing will be playing on the fingertips rather than the flats of the fingers. This is something you also see a lot of beginners do, kind of going along with sort of the swingy fingers. But you'll have more accuracy and control on the fingertips. The flats of the fingers can kind of block other strings. If you want to go play a chord, for example, and you have flat fingers, some of the notes in the middle might get blocked. And you'll just kind of generally have more lightness and agility on your fingertips. So that's something else to keep in mind. And lastly is just kind of with the thumb, we're also going to try and stay like fairly relaxed in this area, or it's not like over gripping, over squeezing with the thumb and fingers. So it can be helpful to visualize just letting the fingers fall onto the neck, kind of resting on the string rather than really pressing and squeezing. So the thumb is just back here for support, which kind of stays fairly at ease, not really squeezing with the thumb. I'm just letting the fingers pull on the strings. Another good way to think about it for finding a good hand position, often we'll just touch the neck kind of on this area of the hand, let the fingers just kind of fall over. They'll kind of fall into that curl on the fingertips. Just let them rest on the strings without over squeezing with the thumb. And use all these mutes to just empty out the hand and avoid accumulating tension or starting to squeeze over time, just kind of keeping at ease going up and down the strings. So just keep those things in mind, go through all those finger combinations and make this a part of your daily warm-up for a while, and I think you'll see some really beneficial results. I found with a lot of my students this really improves their finger independence, just kind of flexibility, speed, accuracy, general hand position, and most importantly, developing more ease. So you kind of don't have to worry so much about what the fingers are doing. Just have ease of playing and be able to focus on the more fun part, which is actually making music.